All right, so let's do a little walkthrough of all that's going on, at least in Barrie and parts of Orillia. This video that I'm showing is a drive along in Barrie. You can see tons of branches stacked at the side of the road. Yeah, a lot of carnage. Hopefully there's no more carnage tonight because it is freezing rain out right now. I had to send the crews back early because I didn't want them to get stuck on the roads or get in an accident, God forbid. So there's actually snow on the ground here in Barrie and Orillia. So yeah, this is a drive around. Lots of homeowners have stacked branches along the side of the road. Obviously, there's still stuff caught up in trees. There's still lots of risks associated with this, but homeowners have stacked branches along the side of the road, which is great. It makes it easier for the city crews to clean up. It's especially easy if all the branches are stacked facing one direction. Just saying, if anyone's out there, try to have all the branches stacked in one direction. So the way the process works is that if homeowners stack the branches to the side of the road, the city will chip it so long as they believe that the branches came from a city-owned tree. So let's say there's a maple tree in the front yard, branches broke off of it clearly, and then they're stacked there. The city will chip it. But if there's cedar clippings beside it and there's no cedar tree around close to the road in the front yard, then they will likely not chip it. That's in Barrie. I've been talking to people in Orillia, and I think the process will be a little bit different in Orillia. So each municipality, because many municipalities were hit, may change how they tweak their process, but that's how it is here. I want to show you a couple close-up videos as well. So this here is a big maple tree. A huge branch came off of it. It got cleaned up largely already. But now the question is, what happens with the rest of that tree? It is quite compromised. It will likely have to get removed. So yeah, a lot of stuff is getting cleaned up, but the aftermath, all these trees that had quite a bit of damage, a lot of them are going to have to go back to and either prune them more, maybe cable some, or just remove it altogether. I've been talking about birch trees quite a bit. So birch trees snapping off, but they're still held up in the air. And that's just, some homeowners will take on jobs like that, but they can be a little tricky and a little risky if people are on ladders. So I really encourage people to be safe. This picture here is from Orillia. Just lined up. Cleanup is not quite as far advanced as cleanup is in Barrie. That also is a large chunk of a tree that landed on a house. The awkward thing about some of these scenarios is that we were willing to help the homeowners with some of this, but the issue is that people either weren't home, they either just basically abandoned their house for a bit, or maybe some people were at work. But I know from speaking to a couple people that a lot of people just skip town. So it's kind of awkward to help someone with trees that are resting on their house if you can't talk to them first. This here is also from Orillia. Some branches smoked the little beach house there as well. So yeah, this is a really interesting video here. So that's a sugar maple. And that branch has a huge cavity. I know because where that cavity is, there's another cavity above it, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're connected. That's pre-existing. That whole large limb or stem, as we sometimes call it, didn't really get affected at all, even though all the trees around it had quite a bit of carnage. So it's really interesting how some trees are just quite durable and didn't succumb to it at all, and others had quite a bit of catastrophe. The previous picture was an ash tree, so there was actually quite a few ash trees I noticed in Orillia. Unlike parts like Hamilton, where I'm from, there's not a lot of ash trees left. There are still quite a few here. Yeah, there's an example of tree work that still needs to happen. Example of tree work that still needs to happen. Some of this is crane work. So the crane guys are really busy. This is a really interesting example. That's a maple branch, and there is ice on it. Not because it was raining, but because the sap froze. Someone here clearly tried to clear up the possibility of animals getting inside, but that did not matter because it still broke off. Here we got hydro poles. There are many hydro poles. This is between Barrie and Orillia. Quite a few hydro lines down between Barrie and Orillia, but also just beyond that, just everywhere is carnage. Still stuff caught up on houses. Yeah, this is a really interesting video. These are all oak trees, super old oak trees, over 100 years old by my guess. Could very well be 150 years old. Very, very few branches broke off this. I think it's because they shelter each other. That's partly why. But the other reason is that oaks grow slow. General rule of thumb is the slower something grows, the stronger it is. There's a birch tree right there. It got annihilated. There's a maple tree right there, but the big oak trees around it did quite well. So that's quite amazing. Anyways, I have the crew entering back into the room, so it's just got noisy. But thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.
Sorry.